On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Them by King Diamond. Was that harmonized?
Almost.
Oh, I'm gonna hate listening to that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We both love metal, and we like to talk about it. And like I said, today we're talking about Them by King Diamond.
Indeed.
I'm going to say it this time.
Okay, and rather than use your soothing high falsetto.
Yeah, soothing. Sure. That's the word I would use to describe my singing voice, is soothing. In my falsetto. So yeah, we're talking about that in a little bit. First, some big news over the week in metal, specifically Dave Mustaine, frontman, lead singer, and is it lead guitarist or rhythm guitarist?
He does both.
Guitarist for Megadeth. Of course, if you know anything about metal, you know about Dave Mustaine. Recently diagnosed with throat cancer.
Yeah.
And he put out a post on Facebook. Apparently, things look positive. Prognosis seems good. At least that's as much as he was saying.
And he's good at fighting big battles, so.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a reference?
Well, to heroin.
Oh, okay. I'm not entirely up to speed with my speed. Bum 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 bum. No, I'm not entirely up to speed with Dave Mustaine's life history. I just know him because he's Dave Mustaine.
Right. Because you live on Earth.
I live on Earth, and I listen to metal, so I of course I know who Dave Mustaine is, even if I'm not entirely familiar with his work. But yeah, all the luck in the world to him. I've talked about it a little bit before. I've got some history of cancer in the family, but kind of who doesn't?
Sure, everybody does.
Pretty much everybody does. It's a weird, unfortunate part of being a human is cancer, and it's weird to think about that. But my dad had colorectal cancer. He's fine now.
Sure.
And I know throat cancer is generally probably a bit more serious of an affair, but I think he'll be fine. Probably. I hope so, anyway.
Ass cancer is bad, though, too.
Ass cancer is also bad.
Yeah.
Go get your colonoscopies, people, because nothing is more embarrassing in the afterlife than having to say you died of ass cancer. Go get your colonoscopy. It's not that difficult. I haven't gotten mine yet, but I'm gonna have to get mine pretty early. I'm gonna have I'll probably
I'm gonna pay a guy in a street corner, but
I think generally, what is it? Is it 50 when you're supposed to go in?
Right.
To get your checkup, your first colonoscopy, and I think that gets moved back 10 years if you have a history of it in your family.
Sure.
And then not only is it my dad, it's also his older brother.
Right.
Also had colorectal cancer. So yeah, I will probably have to go in fairly early to get checked for that, because there is definitely a history of it in my family. But
both my grandparents had it. My grandmother died of it. She died of brain cancer. One of my best friends died of cancer.
Yeah, it just wow, we're really starting this.
Let's make a list.
Oh boy, yeah, we're starting this on a sad note. But yeah, all the luck, thoughts, prayers, whatever you got out there, listener. Dave Mustaine could use him.
Yeah, there
probably.
You go. Whatever the kind of thing you do.
Yeah, whatever it is you do, send some positivity that way.
I don't know why that reminds me of this, but I did that remote from the luncheon, the parking lot barbecue.
Yes,
and they set up a cornhole game, and for some reason, I don't know why, they decided to set one box toward the grocery store and the other box toward the third busiest street in Minot.
Yeah, that's
person
like
throwing this
idea.
way, maybe you might hit a car. Person throwing this way,
you might hit a window.
Or you might hit something and some reflex. Some kid runs out to get the beanbag.
Yeah.
Come for the cornhole, stay for the tragedy.
At least it's a beanbag.
Sure.
right? For cornhole, it's not like you were throwing horseshoes or anything.
No.
So
But the point is, you're throwing them into traffic, and
yeah, yeah, I guess. I always forget that it's technically called cornhole because for me it was always like just beanbag toss.
Sure, beanbag toss, but it's actually called cornhole.
For
cornhole.
Is that because why is it called cornhole?
I think it's because they used a corn box.
Oh,
and they
okay.
drilled a hole in it.
Yeah, now that's making sense. That's kind of coming back to me as to why they decided to call it cornhole of all things.
So when you turn 50, or if you have family history of cancer 10 years before that,
get your cornhole checked, everybody. Go get your cornhole checked.
Indeed.
I'm too much of a nerd because now I'm thinking of Warhammer puns.
Sure.
For the blood god there. That's what you call it when a berserker shoots you in the chest with a bolter and you've just got a hole the size of a dinner plate. That's the cornhole.
That's
right
the
there.
cornhole.
Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne.
There you go.
Other thing I wanted to talk about is a band you never told me about. Even though I've expressed,
I don't know why we didn't never discuss them.
I've expressed interest in in local metal bands, and especially ones kind of this caliber. Because last summer I went to a Ghost Bath show here in Minot, and they're black metal or black metal adjacent. And there's another North Dakotan black metal band called Frosthelm from Bismarck.
They really say they're blackened thrash.
Blackened, or what I saw on their Instagram was thrash and black.
Thrash and black.
Thrash and black metal. Which really is kind of, to me, that's kind of an oxymoron almost, because like black metal, generally speaking, is pretty thrashy.
Sure.
Especially
so maybe be a redundancy.
Yeah, redundancy, not an oxymoron.
Yeah.
But like certainly thrashy black metal. It's like that's just black metal. That's just like early second wave black metal.
Right.
For the most part. Kind of a little bit more about Frosthelm before we move on to something else.
They're really good, first of all.
Yeah, they're very quite good. I was listening to their most recent album called Pyrrhic, and as in Pyrrhic Victory, and it kicks ass. And they're doing a show here on July, I think it was 19th or 17th.
Sure.
At the Art Museum of all places. They're doing a show there, and I'm certainly planning on going.
At the Taubie?
Yeah, at the Taubie.
Really?
The Taubie Museum of Art. They're doing a black metal show there, and it should be a lot of fun. I'll wear my Panopticon shirt and see if anyone recognizes the band name. But they're really pretty high caliber stuff, and it kind of avoids some of the things that I have trouble with Ghost Bath, in the sense that it is very much a very straight up sort of black metal style.
Right.
Thrashy black metal style, if we want to keep calling it that. In the sense that it's more classic black metal vocals. Very, the harsh, more slightly high register screams.
Yes.
And it's not quite the strange sort of keening wail that they do in Ghost Bath. Sort of like, it sounds like you're at an Irish funeral. It's great atmosphere for a live show, but on the albums, I don't know.
It's a little distracting.
I have a little trouble with it on recorded material, but it was great atmosphere for the live show. We got some beer in front of us right now.
We do.
We always have beer in front of us.
Of course.
But the beer we have today is what I brought. It's
Summerfest
by Sierra Nevada Brewing. It's a crisp lager, and that's a pretty damn good description. It's quite crisp.
Oh, yeah, that's very crisp.
Crisp, light. It's like the first sip of McDonald's Sprite.
Yeah. It's like a freshly starched shirt.
Sure. Yes. I compare this beer to a freshly starched shirt. I don't know why I turned into Zap Brannigan. 14-star general. You see, the killbots have a preset kill limit, so I drowned them in wave after wave of my own men until they shut down. Yes, we lost, but I made it with an alien girl. And at the end of the day, isn't that the dream of humanity?
Inform the men.
Or something like that. Those were probably all paraphrased.
Some more champagne.
I need to watch more Futurama.
Yes. Yes, my daughter, my 12-year-old has it memorized.
Really?
Like the entire. You ask her a question about it, she'll say, "Okay, well, that's from this series, this episode."
Nice. I kind of used to be that way with South Park. A lot of the earlier South Park episodes, I have not kept up with South Park in probably the last like 5 or 6 years.
Oh wow!
There's been episodes that have come out that I've really enjoyed when I've seen them, but I haven't kept up with it. But I used to have a fairly encyclopedic knowledge of South Park, and that is more or less lost on me. I can be like, oh, I think that's from that one episode, but I don't know.
The episode where they killed Kenny.
That one, that episode from the first 10 seasons where they kill Kenny, because they stopped doing that.
Right.
They stopped doing that after a while
because
it got to be too much. And then there was a 3-episode arc where they killed him like 10 times.
Just repeatedly.
Yes. Because the episodes had to do with why Kenny comes back to life. Like the thing connecting Futurama with South Park is like Futurama was always on, I think, before or after South Park on Comedy Central. And it, like, when I was younger, it never quite appealed to me. There was just something from it. I was like, no, I don't really like this. But then I started getting a little bit older, and I was like,
sure,
this is really, really good. I really enjoy this. I think it's maybe Futurama is a slightly more mature show.
Yes, it's definitely more highbrow.
A little bit more highbrow.
Yeah.
I don't want to fall into that whole Rick and Morty meme where people you have to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty. That's Rick and Morty is a whole nother bag of nails as it's become. I never finished season 3.
No.
I'm sure I would enjoy it, but it's like the fan base has become so annoying.
Yeah.
It has become so annoying, and it's like I genuinely love this. Like I really like this show, but it is not as clever or as smart as people think it is. I think it's as funny as people seem to think it is, but I don't think it's nearly as clever,
right,
as people seem to think that it is. But yeah, I enjoy me some good animated comedy. Comedy.
Where do you stand on The Simpsons then?
Oh, I don't know. I honestly don't know if I can really formulate an opinion on The Simpsons simply because it's just always been.
Sure.
The Simpsons has literally always been around my entire life. South Park almost has been around my entire life.
Yes.
I think the premiere of South Park was almost precisely on my first birthday. I think it was 97 was the first episode of South Park to air on Comedy Central, and or the first full episode, the pilot episode airing on Comedy Central, and I think that was like March. It might have been March 22nd, 1997. I'm not entirely sure, but Simpsons. I can't really make a specific opinion on The Simpsons other than there's, I've watched plenty of it and liked a fair amount of it, but a lot of people aren't too keen on the last 10 seasons when comparing them to the first 20.
First 7.
The first 7. But I mean, like there's great moments. For example, like I think of one of the shining examples is Do It For Her, the episode where they explain Maggie being born,
right,
and how Homer had previously quit his job at the nuclear power plant and gone to work at a bowling alley, which is like his dream job for some reason because he's Homer.
Sure.
And then Marge gets pregnant, and he realizes he's going to have to go back to work, and he's dreading this baby being born, and he's thinking like, oh God, I'm going to have another kid, and then Maggie, comes out, shows up, and he immediately falls in love with her and realizes that,
got to do it for her.
If he has to go back, that's fine. So he begs Mr. Burns to get his job back. And in Homer's office or room or whatever, he puts up a sign that says, "Remember, you're here forever." And Homer simply puts up pictures of Maggie over the letters until it spells "Do It For Her." which is just an amazing, like, wonderful and powerful statement about fatherhood. And it's the sort of thing you don't really see on The Simpsons anymore.
Right.
Is, to my knowledge. Again, I haven't watched a lot of Simpsons lately, but
and then ironically, Maggie shoots Mr. Burns.
When did that happen? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Is Mr. Burns dead now?
I can't remember how they did it. But it was
Name something, and the Simpsons have done it.
Yeah.
Right? That was an episode of South Park. The Simpsons did it first. Okay. Album time?
Album time.
All right. So like I said in the intro, today we're talking about Them by King Diamond from 1988. It is King Diamond's second studio album, although it is far from King Diamond the Man's first, outing into, or second outing into music. He was the previous lead singer of Mercyful Fate, which is infamously, or just famously, part of the first wave of black metal in the early 80s.
From Denmark?
From Denmark, yes, Danish, although he now lives and has lived in Houston for quite some time, as I understand. And King Diamond is popularly considered to be sort of the father of corpse paint, in the sense that he was one of the first people to combine the black and white face paint, sort of in the style of Kiss, but also with legitimate satanic and dark underpinnings, symbolism. Because King Diamond is genuinely a Satanist. He's a LaVeyan Satanist. He's not the weird, like, sort of genuine Satanism that like, I guess Euronymous wanted people to believe that the Norwegian black metal scene was all about. He's a LaVeyan Satanist, so he doesn't believe that there is actually a devil or a god or any of that. He's just, it's imagery.
It's a philosophy.
It's a philosophy, more than it is a religion. Although for official purposes, they call themselves a religion, because that's part of the point. At least in modern Satanism, as I understand, part of the point is saying, this is, if your thing can be a religion, this can be a religion too.
Sure.
That's what that documentary, Hail Satan.
If your thing can be a religion, we get to put Baphomet on the courthouse steps.
Yeah, not the courthourthouse, the state capital of Arkansas.
That's right, the state capital.
And it wasn't on the steps, but it was in sort of like a chapel area that they had in the state capitol. And like, if you get to have that, we get to have this. Because you can't, if you're going to allow one thing in, you got to allow everything in. If you're going to ignore, the secular ideal of the U.S. government, then you have to ignore it completely. But anyway, enough about Satanism. More about King Diamond. So this was their second album. When King Diamond left Mercyful Fate, he brought with them three members of Mercyful Fate. That was, I believe, the lead guitarist and the drummer. And maybe the bassist, or maybe it was three including him. I don't quite remember. I didn't print off because my printer's pretty much out of ink. But I did do some looking and some research.
Right.
But I believe he took a few members of Mercyful Fate with him and started King Diamond, which is of course his solo project. I mean, it's his brand essentially. Right.
It's got his name on it.
Yeah, it's got his stage name.
It doesn't have it doesn't have Kim Bendix Petersen on it, but
it is King Diamond, and he is known for his very wide vocal range, very wide amounts of vocal styles. As you might have guessed from the intro, that includes a lot of high falsetto, which he uses very well. I'd say he utilizes that high part of his range well and a lot.
A lot, yeah.
But there is also smatterings on this album of kind of harsher and grittier vocals. I don't know if I'd really call them screams at any point.
More
but
growls.
It is, kind of low, not very forceful sort of growl. That to me actually reminded me of a more bearable version of Attila from Mayhem. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit, because Attila, never does any of the high falsetto or anything, but sort of that part of his range.
Sounds like he's having an issue.
Yeah. If Attila was actually trying, he might sound like that part of King Diamond's expansive register. Yeah, I've in like my experience with King Diamond is I remember I think it was a Metal Injection video talking about different metal bands' favorite vocalists, and I think a lot of them named King Diamond as like the person who they think is the best, their favorite or the best metal vocalist of all time. That Rob Halford was also up there a lot, and a fair amount of people also said. Goodness, I can't remember. Mr. Bungle, Faith No More,
Mike Patton.
Mike Patton. A lot of people said Mike Patton. So yeah, he's definitely up there amongst the metal greats, but he's kind of he's been attached to a lot of really big, I would say, household name type bands. But it's mostly because those people are fans of him. Right. Like he's showed up at a fair amount of Metallica shows and things like that. Interestingly, we were talking about Dave Mustaine earlier. In 2017, the band Volbeat was going to perform a Mercyful Fate song, and they were in Dallas. Did I say Houston earlier?
Houston.
Yeah. Maybe they were in Dallas. Maybe he lives in Houston. Either that or he lives in Dallas. He lives in Texas now.
Either way, it's hell of a commute.
Yeah. They were in Texas. And they were playing a show, and it was Megadeth, Volbeat, and a couple other songs. Volbeat was going to play a Mercyful Fate song, and they wanted King to come up and sing it. And Dave said no.
Dave Mustaine said no?
Dave Mustaine said no. For
why?
The reasons weren't entirely unclear. I think Dave had some sort of problem with the satanic imagery. I think Dave has kind of
he did find religion.
He did find religion later in his life, so that might be it. But it's sort of weird because it's like, you're in Megadeth. It's like Tom Araya is a fairly decent Catholic, and he still is the lead singer and frontman of fucking Slayer. like I wouldn't call Tom Araya a devout Catholic. I don't know the man, but like he's stated he is religious, and he's still the lead singer of fucking Slayer. It's like, come on, all right, Dave, just bring it down a notch. It'll be all right. But the funny thing is, King showed up. He was at the show. And he sang it from the crowd. I don't know if they gave him a mic and were just like, oh, he's here. He paid for a ticket. So it's like giving a fan a mic. But he more or less performed the song. He was just down with the crowd, which is that's hilarious to me. But yeah, Dave said no. They wouldn't let him up on stage, and that's weird to me.
That is weird
to see that sort of thing in the metal community. You don't see that a lot. Of course, bands do beef occasionally. Back to Megadeth, of course.
Yeah. Speaking of beefing,
that was a long running thing. Although, of course, they did publicly make up some time ago.
Yes.
I don't know that story entirely. For their making up. But supposedly that happened, but I'm sure it did.
I'm sure it's fine.
So, does this album slap? You brought it.
Does it slap? I think it does. I feel like it does. It slaps for me.
Yeah, I'm hesitant.
You're on the fence?
I'm on the fence because it's hard for me to say it slaps simply because I find it so delightfully strange. It is. Well,
it's a concept album.
It is a concept album. Yeah. This is like a Tim Burton movie in music, or like an early. I was thinking Stuart Gordon.
Oh,
like
sure.
Like a Stuart Gordon sort of side project. Like this is a movie. He didn't have the budget to make it.
So he recorded the audio.
He recorded the audio, or it was the soundtrack to a Stuart Gordon movie that never got made. Like this Castle Freak 2's soundtrack is what I was thinking, because it is strange. Like you mentioned, it is a concept album about a fictionalized young King Diamond.
Sure. Very young.
He's a very young little boy.
He has his little music box.
He's got his little music box, and his grandma comes to visit.
Right. Well, she comes back from an asylum or somewhere.
Yes, she's crazy and abusive and scary and weird. And she comes to visit, and then he starts hearing voices and sort of losing his mind, and the voices are only referred to as them.
Right.
Hence the title. And there's all sorts of weird, wacky stuff going on. And
Mom wastes away and dies.
Yeah, Mom. The song "Mom's Getting Weaker,"
Yeah.
or "Mother's Getting Weaker,"
Yeah.
is about that. And I believe he kills his grandmother. Is that the story?
I think in the end, yeah.
In the end, he kills her or something like that.
And then the police come.
The police come and take him away.
Yeah.
And then he gets a call later, and it's apparently adult King Diamond, and it's his grandma on the phone. Come by the old house. Yes, very much. And I did enjoy the atmosphere quite a bit. I want to make that clear.
Sure.
Before we go much further, where did King Diamond come into your life? Did King Diamond come to you when you were
personally?
Did King Diamond say, "This is my album, here you go"? Was it 88 or was it later?
It was like 88, 89, that era. This was a fresh album. I got this on cassette. I actually bought it on cassette, and I listened to it quite a lot, and I really enjoyed it. And I had some friends who were metal friends who didn't really get it yet.
Yeah. I can understand why that might be. Yeah. It's a little out there. Mm-hmm. It is a little out there as far as musical styles and concepts go. Mm-hmm. But had you listened to any Mercyful Fate at that point, or
I hadn't? This is my introduction.
King's work was entirely new to you.
Yeah, and then I eventually went out and I got Mercyful Fate and listened to that, and I love this. This is great.
Yeah, very much the same sort of vocal styles. On there because
same dude.
It's same dude. I'd say the general level is heavier. The general level of music, Mercyful Fate is considered first wave of black metal,
right?
As we mentioned earlier, which was basically just thrash with some blood, more blood thrown on it, and some upside down crosses.
Yes,
and you get first wave black metal.
Songs like "Nuns Have No Fun."
That's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then the Norwegians, as they do with many things, took it a step further.
Sure.
I had another point of another thing to ask you, but we'll just move down to the score. It was a little hard to find like scored reviews for this
because it's a bit old.
Yeah, it's a bit old. I mean, there was a lot of people talking about it, but I didn't want to have to dig super deep to just find a out of 10 score or out of 5. But the general consensus seemed to be 4 out of 5, 80%
cool.
Around there. Seemed to be a lot of the scores that I could find from review sites. Of course, if it's like Amazon Music, it's usually going to be like 5 stars because the people that are rating it are the people that bought it, and the people that buy King Diamond like King Diamond.
Right.
So, you would agree with that? Within
I would
80%?
agree with that. 80, between 80 and 90. Ooh.
There you go. I got this weird, I don't know if I did something to my throat.
Yeah.
Recently, but every time I take a drink of this, it's just like a sharp little bite.
It's because it's crisp.
Because it's crisp. Sure.
It's like drinking a fresh pressed shirt.
Sure. No, when I was when I was drinking, I had a soda earlier today, and it was doing the same thing. So I don't know. I've got some throat issues going on.
You'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be okay. What's your favorite song on this album?
I tried to. I gave it a re-listen, and I went, yeah, I like this, but I don't like those songs more than "Welcome Home."
Okay. Isn't "Welcome Home"?
"Welcome Home" is the first musical track.
Okay, yeah, because there is sort of the narrative intro to the album.
Theater,
Little bit of theater.
Yeah.
I went with T.
T's a good song. Very good song.
Just because the chorus line in there, I just couldn't help but not smile when it's like, "It's time for tea," or however it goes. The lyric is, "It's time for tea."
Yeah.
I cannot sing it however he sang it, but that tickled me quite a bit. I just it was like, this is fun. Yeah,
it is.
I can't not smile at this. This is a lot of fun. So, I enjoyed that a fair amount.
I like that and Bye Bye Missy. Like that.
That is also a good one there. Bye Bye Missy, because that's would be fictional King's sister. She's leaving or being taken away, or I was trying to figure out sort of the through line of the songs, other than I knew King's a little boy, his grandma's real weird and creepy, and he's going crazy.
Or she's really speaking to invisible guests.
Or maybe she's actually speaking to invisible guests.
Yes.
But apparently she can come back from the dead. Is it? Do you know? Was it King doing all those voices?
Oh, of course. Well, except for the like his mom voice.
Yeah. That'd be. I also love how his name is King. It's not Kim.
Yeah,
it's King.
His real name is Kim.
Yeah, his real name is Kim. But yeah, he's a little king. I'm just imagining King Diamond as he is right now at age 63, but just tiny. He looks like those pictures of Keanu from E3 where they
made him small,
squish him down and make him small. But it's King Diamond, and he's got the paint on and the top hat and the whole getup. Interesting bit about King Diamond is just in 2017 he became a father for the first time.
Really?
At age 61.
Wow.
My goodness. Because he's been married for a reasonable amount. Since like 2003, I think he's been married. He had in 2010 he had multiple heart attacks, had triple bypass surgery, and then started living a little bit better. A little more cleanly.
Did he become vegan?
I don't think so. I think he just started exercising more and quit smoking was his big thing. There's a fair amount of vegans in black metal, but it just there's something about that doesn't quite make sense to me sometimes.
Yeah,
where it's like vegan, the genre that regularly uses actual decapitated goats' heads as props on stage.
Sure.
Vegan goat heads.
Yeah.
Vegan spraying goat's blood over your audience.
Maybe there's a vegan option.
And I'm sure that, I don't know how much that actually happens these days at black metal shows where they spray actual blood, because that seems like a way to get sued.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, well, if you're a black metal fan, maybe you should expect that sort of thing. And there's maybe some liability, like some we're not responsible for you, getting some sort of disease from this goat's blood we sprayed over you.
But you should be okay with that.
But you should be okay with that because you're at a fucking mayhem show.
It's like being a juggalo and having an aversion to Faygo.
I don't want to drink this cheap soda. I'm starting to question this whole juggalo thing. What do you mean I have to wear the paint?
I told you I went to an ICP show, right?
Yes, you did, with your brother.
Yeah.
And you thought you weren't going to get to go to an ICP show.
No, because I thought that one of the guys gave my ticket away, and I'm like, I was in my 30s already.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys just go.
You were okay with it.
Yeah, I know, and I said at the local pizza place, I'm having a cider and a slice, and some guy says to me, he says, hey, you want to go to the ICP show? I have a ticket for $20. I'm like, why would he think I'm going to go? Okay, I'll go.
Sure, yeah.
I got $20. Here you go. And then as I go walking by the front window of the place, I see my reflection. Oh, yeah, I'm painted up like Shaggy 2-Dope.
Oh, you were painted even.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I had forgotten that part of the story. I had to explain to my parents a few weeks ago what juggalos were. Yeah. They didn't know. And I was like, well, juggalo, there's a band called Insane Clown Posse. Or maybe that was Kim I was explaining it to. Either way, I had to explain to somebody what a juggalo is. Just like there's a band called Insane Clown Posse. They wear black and white like clown makeup and sing kind of weird, scary rap. And all of their fans dress like that. And, it's a weird time. They have the gathering of the juggalos.
Yep.
What is it, like 100,000 people?
Something like that.
It's always a big deal. And like ICP, like ICP plays with like Slipknot sometimes
Sure.
and stuff like that. Like that's got to be. I think they were at like Knotfest a few years ago. ICP was, and so I understand there's a fair amount of crossover.
Yeah.
And fan bases, but it's like you have to wonder sometimes if you're like a tour manager and you're like, do I really want to put ICP on my tour? Because I feel like all the juggalos are going to maybe turn people away from our concert just a bit.
All I remember is that I got back in line and somebody drove by playing Eminem and their car got beamed with a beer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's... That poor guy.
Yeah.
He's just listening to what he enjoys.
Sure.
Come on, juggalos.
I know.
Come on, juggalos.
I was just there to support my brothers.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
We want to take our older brother to a concert. I'm like, really, what? Oh.
Is it Cradle of Filth? No, it's ICP. Fuck.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
But we're staying in a nice hotel room.
Yeah, I'm a goddamn adult. I'm not sleeping on some fucking crusty couch. Yeah. Yep. I'm to that point. I mean, I was at that point.
Yeah.
I think almost right away when I like for me starting to go to shows.
Uh-huh.
It was like right when I started doing that when I was around 18, because grew up in a small town and there wasn't really a lot of shows for me to go to for a while
So
that I was aware of.
Right.
And going to Warped Tour for the first time, and after that first year of Warped Tour, I was like, I want to stay in hotels from now on. And especially like if it were still going on, and I was still able to go because it's during the state fair, and that's a busy week for radio.
Sure.
But like other festivals, if I were to go to, it'd be like, I will get my own hotel room. Okay. It doesn't have to be a nice hotel.
Sure.
But I want a hotel room. I don't want to sleep on somebody's couch. It's fine. I will do that, but I'm not going to refuse somebody's offer. But it's just sleeping on a couch is never restful for me.
No.
And if I'm getting up to be at a music festival for 16 hours the next day, I don't want to have my only resting experience in the past 24 hours to be on your extremely uncomfortable couch. So yeah, I would much rather get a hotel room. And there were most years we did. I think pretty much every other year I went to Warped Tour, we did get a hotel room. But then there was 5 sweaty 20-somethings that were just at Warped Tour
in one hotel room,
but
sharing one shower.
Yeah, we're all showering together communally.
Hey, we passed the. Oh, you dropped it. Okay, all right. Well,
it would have been either more or less awkward because every time there were several women with.
Oh yeah.
So it either would have been more or less awkward in that instance if we all showered together. Especially since like the last year I went, I was the only person that was single, essentially. I guess 2 of the other people were not technically dating, but it was like the sort of a pairing there. And I knew the guys. The 2 girls were complete strangers to me. Mason's new girlfriend, who is now the mother of his child, and his fiance, and she's amazing and wonderful, but I'd never met her before then. And then another one of their friends who I'd never met before. And it was always like I always felt kind of like the odd man out sometimes when I went to Warped Tour, because especially the first time it was like Mason was the only person I knew.
Wow.
Like all these new people, and I'm me.
Yeah.
And I'm there going, okay.
Nice to meet you.
I'm 18 years old. Do you guys like my Parkway Drive tank top? So yeah, that was my Warped Tour experience.
Sure.
Okay, so I guess back to task for a little bit. I suppose. What kind of medal do you want to give this? What are you putting over their shoulders? End of Star Wars Episode 4 style.
I'm gonna give this a silver.
You're gonna give this a silver. I agree. While I do enjoy the theatricality and the just sort of wackiness of it, it's just, I don't know if I can't see myself listening to it much more. There is definitely a curiosity,
well, sure,
and an element to it, simply because King Diamond is such a big figure, looming large over the history of metal, and there is certainly a curiosity there to listen to more of it. But I can't really see it being a consistent part of my music library. So I will give it a silver, because while I do say that, it is I can still recognize that this has a lot of value, and that it is good. It's just, it's not quite not quite something that I will go back to very often, I imagine.
Sure.
That being said, it is a lot of fun. This is a very fun album, and if you're perhaps a fan of Tim Burton, maybe check this out, because it's not like I think I understand why people who are trying to get into metal would get intimidated by like Dying Fetus or something like that. But this, I think it brings some of the scary sort of devilish atmosphere of metal,
but not too much.
And in a style that is still quite palatable to most people who maybe don't enjoy harsher vocals. If you don't find harsh vocals to be all that pleasant to listen to, maybe try this out, and you'll get some of the same atmosphere, but with some great, just wide-ranging types of vocals. Goodness, that falsetto he has is something else. It is really something else. Who was I was thinking of? I was thinking of Sigur Rós almost a little bit, or Sigur Rós. Cigarillo. Just a teeny tiny little cigar. The lead singer, he has, obviously that very high falsetto. He just has a very high voice in general, but he has just the very, very high, very sort of delicate falsetto that sort of popped into my mind. Wanting to listen to, I've been in sort of a dry spell. I listened to a lot of Sigur Rós for a while there, and I've been on sort of a dry spell with them for a little bit. I think I kind of listened to them maybe a little too much, and now I want to sort of get back into that now that some of the fervor has died down a little bit.
Also, by the way, check out that I was trying to remember their name, Queen Diamond.
Queen Diamond. Is it King Diamond cover band but all female?
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that. Hey, ideas for the next Female February. Or just next week. We don't have to do female bands in Female February.
Right.
We don't want to segregate.
Yeah.
I want to make this clear. We don't want to segregate female metal musicians to February.
Right, especially not during February.
That is good. That is just that is alliterative, and it's a whole month where we get to highlight people.
Right.
But if you ever have a band of female musicians that you want to bring, not during Female February, you are welcome to it.
Exactly.
It's just that we are dealing with metal here.
I'll put on my shoes and leave my kitchen, and I will bring an album here for us to listen to.
Yeah, just bring it on by.
Sorry. Anyway, moving forward.
Yeah. We are dealing with metal, however. So if we don't immediately start bringing more female albums, you'll have to forgive us a bit, because it is metal we're talking about, and it is an extreme sausage fest.
I wish I could remember. It was the Hot and Heavy video collection series. It was a video magazine, came on VHS. And it would come to your house, and it was just all interviews of metal bands. And there was one band who said, so if you're trying to get into the metal scene and you think, yeah, I'm going to get all the ladies right away, sorry, unless you're into dudes.
Yeah, you're not going to have all that.
They're going to have
luck.
a lot of success.
Well, no, if you want to get the ladies, play a slightly poppy metalcore band. But the problem there is all the ladies are 14.
Ooh. Don't like the older ones.
Oh, yeah, maybe not.
No.
But so next week, I was doing a little bit of thinking, and now I forgot what that thinking was about. Actually, I think I might end up going with it. It's something that I wanted to pull the trigger on for a couple of times, and we ended up not doing it. I think next week is the week.
Yes.
I think now that it's bright. Hold up there. Now that it's bright, it's warm, it's summery.
Okay.
I think we're ready to do When a Shadow is Forced into the Light by Swallow the Sun.
Okay.
They're a Finnish doom death band. This is their new album from earlier this year in March. So, yeah, we can finally do that.
But if it's too dark out or too sad out, this is not the album we need to do.
Maybe not. If any tragedy befalls either of us over the next week, maybe we'll switch it again. But for right now, I'm gonna say we'll hopefully get this white whale out of the way and actually actually talk about this like we were going to like 3 times previously. So we will get to that next week.
Finnish band Swallow the Sun. Gotcha.
Finnish band Swallow the Sun. In the meantime, if you enjoy this podcast, you can check us out on social media. We are on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. And whenever we put out a new episode, notifications get sent to both of those sites with a link to the episode, so you can just find it there and you'll always get a little notification. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes.
Sure.
If you want that extra notification. Although I know that whole structure is going to be changing soon.
iTunes is changing their entire thing.
I don't know, if you're going to have to resubscribe to all of your podcasts, but at the very least, we'll probably still be on there. Now I'm actually thinking, of course we'll still be on Libsyn, but now I'm wondering if I'm going to have to resubmit our RSS feed to, I guess, the podcast app instead of iTunes. I don't know if it's just going to automatically use that same structure.
What is it going to do with Apple's just podcast app then? Because they already have a podcast app.
That's the thing. There was already podcasts, so maybe that's not really changing.
Maybe.
It's podcasts as part of iTunes, but it is a separate icon that you click on.
Sure.
On your phone. But anyway, whatever the case might be, we'll be on there.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. Just call our name, and we'll be there. The fun thing also with social media posts and when we put them up there is super easy to share that with your friends. If you think more people should listen to this, share those episode links and say, hey, this is fun. Listen to that. And we'd really appreciate it.
I haven't eaten all day, and you said links, and now I have breakfast food.
You haven't eaten all day?
I haven't.
Oh, when did you listen to the album? Because if you hadn't eaten, you wouldn't have been doing dishes.
No, I still have dirty dishes.
Oh, your family. I suppose your family ate. Because, you've been having the weird stomach thing.
Yeah, I'll be okay. I ralphed at a T-ball game today. But, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that. Well,
I'll be okay.
Yeah, hopefully.
Tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm scrubbing today.
1 week later. Yeah, OJ's dead. OJ's dead. Here's my new co-host.
He replaces me in a handful of days.
Immediately. The podcasts wait for no man. Okay. Time to wrap this thing up. So, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations. You actually were in sync on that.
I did. I was in sync. So, bye.
It's summer. It's summer in the city.
Hot time. Summer in the city. Back of my neck feeling sweaty and gritty.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
It's from a song.
What's the song?
In the summer, in the city, in the summer, in the city. Summer in the city.
Summer in the city?
Yeah.
Is that what the song is called?
I'm bleeding so.
You're bleeding so?
Yeah.
You're bleeding. Why are you bleeding?
I'm not really bleeding. I'm believing.
Anal bleeding?
I'm anal bleeding. My rectum is bleeding.
Anal bleeding from some anal beating. Anal bleeding. Oh, this is like a cattle decap lyric here. Anal bleeding.
From some anal beating.
From an anal beating. From anal beading. Beading. Yeah, that could be maybe an early cattle decap lyric or something like that. Or bro job. That could be a bro job one.
Bro job song?
Yeah. The gayest deathcore band there ever was. And still is.
And still is.
Okay.